What is going on, everybody? BobbyFi with my man Eric Sheets Haber. We're going to be talking about tonight's small baseball slate. We've got a day slate which we're going to go live for, so we're going to try and keep this one real short. Sheets, right off the bat, anything we should be talking about before we get into game by game?
No, right off the bat, the pitchers are close for me, man. It's not like it's been the last like 5 days for me. I mean, I've been pretty confident with what I was going to do.
Yeah.
I have 4 guys that are look really, really close, and then a 5th who I don't want to play that I might have to. But I'm curious to see where you're at. It's on the smaller side of the slate, I guess, but I think there are some options, and I have like 4 main stack teams, and then we'll see what we want to do.
Sounds good. All right. Well, let's talk about it game by game. Why don't you pull your screen up and we can jump on into it.
So, and I'm so glad you're here because you're gonna be able to talk me off of an idea that I had, which thank God I'm not gonna do. Okay, so the first game, Seattle-Baltimore. Now I hope it rains out because otherwise it's gonna put this thesis to the test here. So I ask you this a lot, all right? I ask you, with especially with respect to baseball, when you have a hitting team that we like to target pitchers against, and then we also have a pitcher who we like to target hitters against, what do you do? Do you play the hitters against the pitchers, or God forbid, do you play the pitcher against the hitter, or does ownership kind of drive this to force? And that's I was walking over here today. I'm like, okay, you got Matt Harvey, right? He's going against Seattle. So what are people going to do? Are people going to play Matt Harvey against a team because we always pick on Seattle, or are people going to play Seattle because you always pick on Matt Harvey? And I think the answer is that everybody's going to play Seattle.
I think you're right about that.
And they do rate for me to be like my 3rd best stack, right? Am I allowed to play Matt Harvey or no?
I don't think it's like the worst thing in the world, but I don't. Let's get through the slate and maybe we can figure it out. I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest with you. I don't think it's the absolute worst thing in the world. I don't know.
I have 3 guys.
I have a really bad feeling a really strong feeling this game has got a good chance of not playing.
I hope not. I have 4 stats that are all like very close to one another, and one of them happens to be Seattle. So I'll just throw that out there. So Seattle, and I like Haniger, Trammell, Seager, France, and Evan White.
Yeah, that's basically exactly how I have it. So if I was going to do it, that's the way I would do it as well. I have just as much interest, or probably more interest, in the Baltimore side of the bats if we were going to do that. Mancini is always number 1. I don't care about overpaying for him. Everybody who knows me for a long time knows that I'm a Mancini guy. Probably followed by Santander, Mullins, Franco, Mountcastle, Stewart, somewhere in that range, and maybe Ruiz would be the other guy you add in. But again, if I'm not so in love with it where I need to try and wait on this weather, and we'll know better by live before lock later on.
Want to move on?
Yeah, let's do it.
I feel as though David Peterson pitches every day.
Feels like it, doesn't it?
Or at least he's scheduled to pitch every day. I guess it rained out or something happened. I will say this: it is beautiful in New York today.
Oh, really?
Oh, it is gorgeous out there. So there's no weather issues as far as I'm concerned. I thought I was going to come into work. I thought I was going to look, and I thought I was going to say, okay, let's take the Phillies and, do what I was going to do and play all these righties. They just don't happen to grade out for me as well as I thought they were. Maybe I'm going to force them anyway. We'll see. I do have Zach Wheeler as one of, again, and this is a big wall of horses, so to speak, a bit among my 4-way tie for pitchers. So I do have him. And again, nobody today is like as good as that. You're not going to get 40. I don't think out of or you don't rate to get 40 out of too many pitchers today. So you don't need as much. But Wheeler to me is part of the top 5 as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I would put Wheeler up there, even though I think the Mets lineup is pretty solid. I still like Wheeler here too. I think that Philly is a mini stack, especially, but even a full stack makes a lot of sense. It's a little hard to get some of these guys in, but Reese, Baum, actually, it's not that hard. Reese, Baum, McCutcheon, Segura's hitting the ball again, not so much for power. And then you could include one of the expensive Bryce or Rio Mutos. Maybe you could play a DD and a lefty, and as a low owned play. I actually like Philly a little bit, so I'm gonna jot that down right now. And yeah.
I think you're gonna be able to play whatever hitters you want today.
Okay.
Maybe not everyone, but I mean
that's true. We should probably keep it moving because we've got to be on our other show in like 10 minutes or 15. Oh no, we don't. We can wait.
Got a half an hour.
Yeah, you're right. Not bad. Yeah, all right. But yeah, are you interested in Philly at all, or is there's nobody on the Mets I'm targeting, but Philly I definitely have some interest in.
Yeah, so like I said, those righties, Real Muto, Hoskins,
yeah.
Baum, Harper's kind of expensive, but Segura, like you mentioned, McCutcheon. Yeah, I mean, they're one I'm going to force in. I mean, my numbers aren't getting me there, but I might force them in. That's where I'm at with that.
Gotcha. All right, you ready to move on to the next one?
Texas, Tampa.
Wow, I've got
the only thing I had here was I think I had Tampa. Did I have Tampa as one of my stacks?
Probably.
I'm not sure. I don't. Let me double check that while you talk about it. Sorry.
Yeah, it's I mean, I think Tampa's a legitimate stack here.
Yes.
And I think that Josh Fleming is legitimately in play. And
okay.
He's affordable enough. You've got a Texas team that is just awful. Just really been awful. Although they did hit the lefty okay last night, so maybe you can use that as a reason. But I just think Fleming is on the list of guys. Tampa Stacks. There's 3 hitters that they have that play the whole games that you're going to get to play. Everybody else, well, I guess Adames would count, so maybe 4. Everybody else is sort of a little bit of a wild card, although mostly Margot is going to be in there. I'm just throwing it out there because their stacks end up getting a little weird. So they're an expensive stack, but definitely one that I don't mind. Don't mind going back to Brandon Lau, Austin Meadows, and Arozarena. Again, it's going to be hard to afford all these spend-ups I've talked about, but those would be my 3 favorites. And it would go Meadows, Arozarena. Meadows, Lau, Arozarena for me.
Do you like Yoshi or you like Diaz at all?
I mean, in general, like I try not to play him because he's a guy.
He's not a power guy.
He's no power, and he plays the corner. He plays first and third, so you kind of want power out of those positions.
Okay.
He would be a filler for a stack. I wouldn't use him alone.
Yeah, so those are the 5 guys that I would have if I were going to play 5 Tampas. Would be the ones that are out there. I mean, Yandy Diaz, Meadows, Lowe, Sugo, and Arozarena.
Yep. And
I do have them as like my 4, one of 4 stacks I like.
Yeah. The only guy who stands out for me on Texas at all, and he hasn't, he's hit 1 home run this year, hasn't really done the things that we've seen from him in the past. Although he's still stealing a couple bases, and that's even in the lefty, Joey Gallow is 3.7. It's a really cheap price tag for a guy with, one of the 10 most powerful, maybe 15 most powerful hitters in baseball. It's just really cheap. It's the only reason
he steals bases on Gallo.
Oh yeah, he'll steal bases sometimes. Probably less likely to do today. He's got 2 steals already this season. He's not like a monster base stealer, but he'll go. If he gets walked too often, he'll just start running.
Really?
I mean, not like crazy. He's not Acuna out there, but he'll steal a base for you every now and then. But he's it for me for them.
Okay.
All right, and then we get to Houston and Detroit. And boy, I'll tell you what. In addition, to last night, just to whatever. Not the fact that what's his name had 500 hits and I didn't have him in my lineup and I still almost won the tournament. But the real frustrating part for me with Detroit was no hit after like the 5th inning, and just really frustrating, man, because they had or no hit until Ramos's home run. But there was so many opportunities. Nobody had these guys. Badu nobody had. Who else was out there? I was just
Oh, dude, you're your man, the Mazzara.
Mazzara, Nunez.
Nunez, right?
Having said all, like I don't have a ton of interest in them today, but if I'm not playing McCullers, which is probably going to happen in some lineups, I'm definitely going to play Mazzara again. I don't understand why they haven't corrected this yet. And they're all cheap enough to where I can justify it. I think that Mazzara and Ramos are both very interesting. Yeah, I think Renato Nunez shows you exactly why you don't play Renato Nunez last night. He hits a home run and then gets pinch hit for his next at bat, up by 6 runs. You know, I don't like messing with that stuff in general. I don't know why.
That's a good point.
You know, it's a great reason to try to get around somebody. But I'm not in love with this today. I do like McCullers quite a bit, and I'm gonna be on the Houston side, and I just can't buy that their offense is this bad. That's basically my only explanation for it.
The thing that was annoying is one of the saucy guys in the chat last night. He actually kind of talked me into it a little bit. Like he was saying, dude, how do you play the freaking Astros? They're not hitting the ball on their chalk. I mean, it's just as easy as that. And I'm like, it's not always that easy, but maybe in this particular situation, it might be that easy.
Well, I mean, he was basing it on a 1-game sample size.
No, I understand.
I mean,
and not only that, but Matt Boyd can actually,
last week at this time they were the Nuts, so I don't know,
Yeah, no, I got you, but yeah, I like Houston. Houston's one of the, their rating is one of my top. So we had Tampa, we had Seattle, and then we have this one. It was ranked my second highest one, and there would be Alvarez, Bregman, Tucker, Brantley, and I have Straw, but but I can get talked off of that, I guess. Altuve is kind of expensive, but it's part of Stacks, and maybe. So yeah, I do like Houston, and I do like McCullers. He's again one of my top, one of those top 5 I talked about.
Yeah, I like him.
And any preference of which guys from Houston? The usual guys. I mean. Guys are expensive, man.
I oddly don't. I mean, it's always Bregman number 1 for me, but I oddly don't have a huge preference today, just because the prices make it so they're more in the stack or fade situation.
Talk to me more about that. What does that mean?
They're just all really expensive, so to use any of them as a one-off without a decisive, crazy advantage is fine. But I'm not going out of my way to try and do it. If there was, it'd be Jordan Alvarez or Bregman, but
okay. Their
stack is just so expensive that if you're going to find a way to pay for one of them, I don't know. I would find it just doesn't happen as much. I would pay for the stack more than I would.
We don't talk about this because I guess everybody just kind of knows. I don't even know for sure if this is the case. Because when I first played my first slate of DFS, the first thing I made sure to do, I guess this is why before I knew anything, was I made sure to take hitters from the team that I had my pitcher, because I thought that would help if they hit, that it would give the pitcher a better chance of having, getting the four points for the win. Now, again, I didn't realize at the time that the win points is not quite as big of a deal as you would think. But is that still the case? Like, you don't worry too much about playing hitters from the same team as the pitcher? I mean, that correlation is not that big a deal.
Say that one more time. I'm confused. You're saying?
Yeah. So at the very beginning of DFS, I would try to pick my stacks out of the same game that I had my pitcher, because if they hit the ball, then it's more likely the pitcher gets the 4-point win bonus. Is it not that important to get the 4 points for the win?
It's important. I mean, it's fine. It depends on the slate. What are you trying to figure out exactly? So
nothing. I'm just nothing. I'm just talking theory, man.
I may have lost the theory thing. I may have just misunderstood, and I was in the middle of.
No, I mean, I don't know what level people are that are watching these for the first time. Yeah. Because I'm just saying, the first time I played DFS, the first thing I would have to do is try to pick teams from the same, pick hitters from the same team as the pitcher, because I would want those points. But then you've been telling me that the win points is not that big a deal.
It has almost nothing to do with the win equity. Some of it, but most of it has to do with pitching with a lead. You're allowed to pitch more freely, more comfortably. You're going to.
That's something. Okay.
That's the real answer to that part of it. But
okay.
Yeah, it definitely factors more on FanDuel, to be honest with you. And also last night and the recent nights, I just want to point out, most people who are winning are not stacking fully ever.
Is that true?
Almost everywhere I've seen, almost every big buy-in tournament. Maybe for the smaller buy-ins, long shot fields, things that get there. But for example, last night, the 5-man Detroit stack was no good. The 4-man Detroit stack was awesome. You know what I mean? I just want people to keep this in mind. It's completely wrong to think that you have to stack every night fully. You're not. Those 2 points and 4 points don't mean jack. They mean nothing. They mean on FanDuel, they mean something. On DraftKings, and even on FanDuel, you can do 3-3-2s. Just keep it coordinated, but don't just feel like you always, have to fully max stack, especially on DraftKings. Yeah.
I feel as though, and it is my theory, I feel as though that the more entries there are, the more you should 5-man stack. I think that that if you're trying to beat 100,000 people, 10 million people, I think you are going to need that full game to go off. More so.
No, I think you're exactly wrong about this. I think it couldn't be more wrong. If you're going to do that, you're going to be doing exactly what some people are doing. And there's no way. And if you do a 4-2-1, whatever, you're completely differentiating yourself. I think it's so much more the opposite. I mean, the guy who won last night, didn't he have I think he didn't have any more than 2 from a single team.
Well, what we're going to do, I mean, if you want to make this a point, because I know a lot of other people do this. I mean, we could start doing lineup studies where I could pull everybody's lineups and we can just compare them.
Let's do it sometime, because I'm happy to do it. And it's gonna fluctuate. You're gonna get nights where they're after somebody, but when you're early in the season and you're using a number of pitchers and things like that, it's much harder for the lineups to go completely off than to have a few power spots in different orders. I mean, like we said, Sheets, your best lineup of the year so far scored 3 runs.
Right.
And
right.
I'm not saying it's 100% foolproof, but it's definitely the way that I lean, and it's done very, very well for me over the years in DFS. I will fully stack sometimes, but it's usually going to take a team that I really, really like, and I think will hit 3 home runs, which is hard to ask for. And then you've got to get them right, and then you've got to get the other guys right. And then you've also got to be different than a million other people who are doing the same thing. I prefer my way of doing it if I can, but I will still fully stack sometimes. Anyway, sorry for that. We can jump over to Atlanta now.
That's really interesting. I want to get this is like my thing, because I want to get maybe get someone who's a little more proficient with the lineup rewind to help us with this. But anyway, let's move on then.
Yeah, let's do it. Miami, Atlanta. What are your thoughts on the SPs?
Yeah, so Morton is. You were definitely ahead of the curve on him. You had him when nobody had him, I think. And now he's going to be very popular, I think, at 7,600. So he's one of my top 5. I mean, I mentioned McCullers. There was Wheeler. There's Morton. There's 2 others coming. And he's certainly in play. And then also the Atlanta onslaught remains in play. So the Atlanta right now, I don't know exactly if I can get them in, but they're right now rating as my top stack. And the guys that I would take right now would be Ozuna, Freeman, Acuna, Albies or Swanson, and Riley.
Yeah, Atlanta's my number 1. This is a team I wouldn't mind 5-man stacking. I think you named him pretty well. I would include even like the cheap Inciarte to get a little different in this stack if he's in the lineup. I like Austin Riley down there. I'm with you. I think that Acuna is the number 1 play on the slate. I think Freddie Freeman is not far behind. Love Albies. It's really funny that Ozuna is like going to be the chalk play. This guy was it's 2 days ago, everybody tells me you can't play Matt Carpenter. It's crazy and all this stuff like that. Sure. Look at Matt Carpenter since then. He's like 4 for 6 with 2 doubles and a home run, and went crazy last night at 1% ownership and no cost. Marcell Ozuna hadn't had an extra base hit all season. He was, 0 for 40 something? And then he hits 1 home run, and now he's going to be the mega chalk. So I do love Ozuna. He's the cheapest. He makes the most sense, but I will keep him reserved for stacks for the most part. I just think there's going to be too much chalk for a guy who's really been struggling for the most part.
Well, you could also include as if he plays is Darno.
Yeah, I like that, and he's overpaying for him is going to be a different way to go. I think maybe not different, but it'll be reserved for Atlanta stacks actually. So
you're going to be able to play all these guys.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, because more than 7,600. I mean, like,
yeah. All right, you ready to bounce over to Chicago and Cleveland?
yeah. So because he's 8,900, and because of the different hitting I kind of wanted to get. I don't think that Rodon is going to get there for me. I think I'd rather play May or McCullers than Rodon. Maybe that's a mistake, but that's where I'm at right now. And Plesac is a little bit cut below McCullers at the same price, so I don't know if I would do that. So for me, it's just both these are just on, as they like to say, I'm just on the outside looking in, and I didn't get too much of the hitting from either side.
Boy, both these teams should have an easier time hitting the ball than they did last night. That was some
no kidding
matchup.
No
you know?
That was funny.
I actually kind of like a sneaky White Sox stack. I just don't know if I'm going to be able to get to it because I already mentioned that I like Atlanta #1. I like mini Tampa Bay, Houston #2, and then Philly is right there with Houston for me. I think Philly might be off the board enough a little bit to go there.
I think so.
So, but I think that look, these White Sox, I'm just going to say it over and over again. And Plesac is a fine pitcher. He's not a guy who was like a dazzling, 11 Ks per 9 type of guy. And anybody who's not like extremely high, even if they are strikeout heavy, I'm just always going to have interest in stacking this White Sox team, as I think that the top 5, 6 in their lineup are really strong. And then you get a guy like Andrew Vaughn later in the lineup, who I expect to have a big year and have a breakout at some point. So I just like their lineup is basically the long and short of it. And I don't know that you need to fully, this is another one where if I was going to go against Plesac, maybe I would do like a 4-man or a 3-man, but no one's going to do it. And I just think that they're interesting just for that reason. They're expensive. There's other guys we could play. Sure. Let's keep in mind, this guy's had 2 matchups against Detroit. So let's not like rate him as the greatest pitcher ever. And in those 2 matchups in 13 innings, he had 10 strikeouts. The White Sox big problem is strikeouts. So you can play the White Sox here and I think feel pretty good about it.
Plesac for me, by the way, replaces Wheeler as my top 4 pitcher on FanDuel for me. On FanDuel, Plesac's 8,300 compared.
I think I'm going to skip him entirely, but I understand it over there.
Yeah, compared to Wheeler's 97 over there. Just a little bit of price difference. And before I forget, I do like McCullers the best on FanDuel, and Rodon's better on FanDuel. We'll get to May in a second.
Yep. Let's talk about this last one because this is where we're gonna have
May's terrific. I mean, he's awesome. No, I mean he's the top 4. I mean, I'm not locking him in or anything. But
no, I mean, sure, I like this too. But here we have a guy who no one wanted to play at 8,600, was 3% owned on a. I mean, Sheets, I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Well, because they didn't think he'd get the innings, right? I mean,
but so if I have that much of an edge over everybody else, and they know that little about the Dodgers, then I'll take it. But that's really really dumb on everyone else's part if you actually think about it. But great matchup. There is always going to be leash issues if anybody struggles for LA because we've got plenty of guys in the bullpen. But he's been pretty efficient with his pitches in his young career. He's got tremendous K stuff against one of the worst offenses on the road in baseball. Certainly seems like a standout play to me. And trying to find negatives here, haven't been able to do it yet. Big fan of May here tonight. I still like the other guys too. I like Morton probably the best, in fact, price and everything considered. But I think McCullers and Wheeler are sort of flirting with my favorite second guy.
I don't know, man. I just feel as though I don't know. I feel as though Miami's somewhat pesky, and I just don't think Colorado has just anything to offer at all. You know what I mean? Like I really think I would put Miami's hitters up against Colorado's hitters on the road. Yeah, I know. Well, maybe I'm just biased because I've been killing it with Miami the last couple of days, but I think I like May.
I saw a stat last night with Miami, which I actually thought was bizarre. Against left-handed starters, they're hitting like 100 points higher than they are against righties. But then they said their runs scored per game versus the starter. Like, it doesn't count the whole game's run scored, but it's 2.26 versus lefties and 2.25 versus righties. I saw that stat and I was going, wait a minute, how do we stack Miami? And then look, of course, Miami goes nuts. Anyway, I think that this is a time where you want to probably play May, and I think that your Dodger stack should be a little bit. You should have some exposure to Dodger stacks for sure. I think the run total is a lot of respect for John. I think John Gray is actually a decent enough pitcher. Historically, has not been good versus the Dodgers. He's been very good for strikeouts versus the Dodgers. He hasn't been good necessarily in terms of results. I mean, they're hitting like 270 off of him, which is pretty good as a team. And there is some pop here. So Seager is again just the best hitter or the best shortstop play on the slate. But I do have interest in Dodger stacks, although less so than I have in previous days.
Yeah, they're not quite making it for me. And I guess not to say they can't score 10 runs, because they always can. I'm on the other side of this, the anti-John Gray. I still think he's not bad, and I think
I said he wasn't bad.
Not you. I was listening to a couple of things saying, oh, Gray is, he's been getting lucky or whatever, but he's always been passable, and he's always been, these guys stuck in cores are it's tough for them. I mean, you see what's his name came out, had a good game. Who was it? Hoffman the other day, right? Hoffman was struggling in cores, and he came out on a new team and just freaking mowed people down, didn't he? I don't know. Yeah, Dodgers are fine. If you get to them in one-off like you did yesterday, oh man, that Seager thing really. I saw you had him with the one-off, and I really thought that was going to be you. I did. I know you don't want to hear it anymore.
It's rough, man.
Bobby sent me a screenshot where basically like everybody on the Tigers who no one heard of had like 20 fantasy points after like the third inning.
Tabu at 5%, Nunez at 4%, and also wait, and don't forget who else was my other one off in that lineup, Matt Carpenter at 1%.
I saw that
with the home run and everything off Strasburg. Oh,
and I was gonna, and it's so funny. I was gonna respond. I was gonna say, dude, if you can't win with this, you got to kill yourself. But I just never want something actually to happen with me having that on my conscience, right? You know what? You needed to have I don't want to say the ceiling game, because the Duvall at 50 is not a ceiling game. That's just not even that's not even in the range of outcomes.
I don't even know what that was.
Dude, it's Duvall revenge, man. He's been laying it on Atlanta all series.
Seriously, I mean, that's pretty crazy though.
Yeah.
All right, well, we got to get to the live stuff pretty soon, and I've got a food delivery order that's coming because I have been haven't had a chance to eat this morning. So I think we're pretty good for tonight, and we'll be Sheets. We're on right for 6 Eastern or 6. What are we gonna do? 60. NBA starts at 7.
What time is the NBA start?
The NBA, I believe, starts at 7. I'm just double checking. Sorry, it's taking a second.
And baseball starts at 7, right? So let's make it 6.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys at 6. For Sheets, I'm Bobby saying good luck, and we'll see you at the top of the leaderboard.
It's good because the NBA only has like 12 games, so we'll be able to rifle through that, no problem.
Perfect. It'll be no problem. All right. Good luck, everybody.